All right, good morning, guys. We are in Thursday. We're going to be going over our ELA. So for today, we're going to be reviewing in our big book, which is our literature anthology. And let me go ahead and show you guys what that looks like. It's going to be this book right here. It says literature anthology and has those two swordfish, and it's going to be bigger than your little book, which is your reading writing workshop. So it's that bigger book. And if you don't know what pages to go on and you're online, then just look for the story that we read in our literature anthology. So in our big book, we read Lola and Tiva. So what you'll do is you'll log into ConnectEd by going to the waffle. And I actually already have it open, so I'm just going to go here. But you would go to the waffle, scroll all the way down and hit McGraw-Hill. And then you would get to our ConnectEd. So I'm just going to go from here. And mine looks a little different because I'm in a teacher account. So let me get to a student account. Once you get to your student account, you're going to click on read. And it's going to be that blue button with the red book.
Read. And
then you're going to find that story, Lola and Tiva. All right. And then it's going to take you to the page you need. If you actually have your book at home, then it just tells you the page right here in our weekly schedule. All right. Well, it doesn't because we're in the review, but you can go back to 82 and 103 because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing all the work you guys did yesterday. Now, I just uploaded all of the answers to your CRC and your turn workbook pages because I know that some of you guys are saying that you are having trouble with them and you're not sure about what the answers are. Now, before I show you guys your answers to your CRC workbook, I want to remind you that these answers are just like samples, and they're going to give you a lot of words. So you do not need to copy them word for word, and I'll show you what I mean. All right. So I'm going to go to, actually, it's right up here. So if you update the stream, it's going to be right at the top, and it's going to say CRC answers and your turn answers. If you don't ever see it at the top, if you click on classwork and you're going to go to resource links, the reason why I didn't put it under ELA is because it's not really an assignment. So ELA, you're going to see all of your assignments here, like your CRC assignment, your turn assignment, your ELA gradebook Friday, which you actually fill out. This one, you're not filling anything out. These are just your answers. So let's go ahead and I'm going to open up the CRC. And then what we're going to do is we're going to review some of the answers you guys put for pages 22 to 28 in your CRC. And I just heard someone else come in. That's awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll all the way down till I hit 23. Now, you're going to notice if you put 23 down here on these pages, it's not going to take you to the right page because, because it doesn't start on page 1. Like if you notice all of these, this is page 1, this is page 2, but these are like the front covers of your book. So changing your number here is not going to put you to the right page. It might take you somewhere near it. So if you go to 23, it looks like you're on 17. So you're kind of close to it. So then I'm just going to keep going till we get here. Now, here we answer these questions in class together. So you can rewatch that YouTube video if you want to go over it. So the question is, how do the photos help you understand the relationship between Lola and Tiva? So here it says Lola was a black rhino. She was brought to the Liwa Wildlife Conservancy. She and Tiva became friends. Here it says Tiva lived on the Liwa Wildlife Conservancy. She wanted a puppy, but dogs weren't allowed. She got a different kind of pet, a black rhino. The photos help me understand that Tiva becomes friends with a baby black rhino. So I did not write all of that. If you guys looked at what we did yesterday, I did very simple, like one-liner sentences. They wrote like a lot. Like this one is like 3 sentences. It's almost a paragraph. You do not need to do that. Literally, if you wanted to just write Lola is a black rhino, if you wanted to write Tiva wanted a puppy, you don't even need to write complete sentences. This one, you don't need to write a complete sentence because it starts the sentence off for you. So you're just continuing on. The photo helps me understand that Tiva becomes friends with a baby black rhino. Okay. Here, Lola needs a safe place to stay, someone to care for her, food and water. Now, yesterday we split up like food and milk, and that's fine. So remember, these are just samples of what your answers could be. You could have different answers, but if they are somewhat similar, then that's fine. Now, if you're not sure, if you put a different answer and you're like, well, I think my answer is right, but I'm not sure, ask an adult. If an adult at home cannot help you, they're like, I actually don't know that, talk to your teacher. Then what you guys will do is on Thursdays, after I go over the answers, if you still aren't sure if your answer is correct, go ahead and stay after class, and then you can share your screen with me and say, Ms. Park, or if you wrote it on your book, you can just read it to me and say, Ms. Park, is this also correct? And I can let you know as well. Page 24. How did Tiva help Lola learn how to take care of herself? She taught her how to wallow or take a mouth bath. She taught her how to take care of herself by showing her different things. And she taught her how to be a good and gentle friend. We wrote different things here, and that's okay. Lola had to learn how to live like other rhinoceroses and how to stay clean. Now, this was going to be the story of animal needs that you guys could have done on your own. Now, I say that you only need to do ELA for an hour a day. So if you guys don't get to animal needs, that's fine, because you're not tested on this. However, you are tested on Lola and Tiva, which is why I went over the answers with you guys yesterday. Okay, so if you have questions about animal needs, I have answers here. There are answers here. There are answers here. And you guys can pause the video, or you guys have access to it in Google Classroom. So you guys can actually scroll and find these answers as well. So that is it for our CRC. If you have questions about any of these answers, you guys are going to just let me know at the end of class, or you guys can type it in the chat and maybe someone else can answer it. Now, I do see that there are 41 messages, so please make sure you guys are on task in the chat box. The next thing you guys have is your turn practice workbook. So we already actually went through the questions yesterday. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes I'm just going to go and tell you guys to do it on your own, and then we'll review it on Thursday. So now that I have the answers up, let's just make sure that all of it was correct. So I'm going to go back to resource links. It's going to be the second file, your turn answers. I'm going to open it up. We were on pages 36 to 38. So I might write it down here. Oh, I can't even change it. If you actually download the document, then you'll be able to change the page numbers, but I don't want to download it. Let's see. Okay, we're on 28. We got to get to 38. Here we go. Oh, 36, sorry. 36, 37, 38. Oh, and you know what I just realized? We didn't go over the key details. Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to start taking out this one because of the sake of time. I feel like Wednesdays and Thursdays are really busy anyways. So I'm actually going to take out 36. If you guys already did it, then that's going to become like an optional work that's going to really help you guys with your Lola and Tiva story. Okay, so for now, we are not going to do page 36. We're just going to do 37 and 38. So here we have page 37. Amy's family has a foster pet. They feed and play with Rocky and take him to the vet. They train him to follow commands. When Rocky gets bigger, another family will give him a lasting home. Here's a picture of Amy's family. Amy trains Rocky to walk on a leash. How can you tell that this text is narrative nonfiction? It tells about real people and events. It is told by a narrator. It has a photo and a caption. Ooh, those are like all the right answers that exact answers we put. What is one way that Amy trains Rocky? How did you find this information? Amy trains Rocky to walk on a leash. This information is in the photo caption, similar to what we wrote yesterday. What does the family text help you learn about a foster pet? One family takes care of the foster pet until another family can give it a lasting or a forever home. Okay, number one, to figure out new words, separate the root word from the ending. Read each sentence, put a line through the root word in the ending, then write the meaning. So he lives in the city. So he has a home in the city. 50 firefighters lived and worked there too. They did jobs there too. He helped Wilshire learn to live in the fire station. He made it easier to do something. Then the firefighter takes Wilshire home, brings with him. He also has a fun meeting playing with other dogs, getting together. All right. we already went over that yesterday. So then what the last thing we're going to do before we actually do our comprehension and practice test review is going to be, I'll go over this stuff. So the next thing is going to be your Google Classroom classwork trifold. It's highlighted pink, which means you do have to do it, but you don't need to turn it in. So I'm going to go to Google Classroom. I'm going to click on classwork. I'm going to get to Thursday's Wonders ELA trifold. You know what? Maybe I should like organize these a little better. Well, Fridays, I want to make sure you guys see that. Maybe I should do like Friday. I'm going to organize these so that it makes sense to you guys. So it's going to be Fridays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays. And then your turn, selfie writing, getting to know you. All right. So we're on Thursday. So we're on our Wonders ELA trifold. And then remember, what you're doing is you're going to scroll to the correct story. So we're on Lola and Tiva. So you're going to find the title of Lola and Tiva. So we did help. The next color is orange, and that was Big Red Lollipop. The next color was yellow, not Norman. And then the next color is green, Lola and Tiva. So we are going to answer these questions. And it looks like we only have 2 slides to do. All right. So why was Lola brought to a safe place in Liwa? Can anyone tell me what I should put in this box? I'm going to pause so we can discuss it in class. So that was correct. So why was Lola brought to a safe place in Liwa? So Lola was a baby and could have been attacked by other animals. Now, that was a good answer. If that's all you write, that is correct. I'm going to make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. Now, there was another answer. The reason why she was mostly brought was because of her mother. So I'm actually going to write that too. Lola's mother was blind and could not take care of her. I'm going to get that whole thing highlighted and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it all fits. So remember, the main reason why Lola couldn't take care of herself was because her mother was blind. So she wasn't able to take care of her daughter. Okay. Now, question number 2. How did Tiva and Lola change throughout the story? How do you think they changed throughout the story? I'm going to pause the video so I can hear from you guys. So how did Tiva and Lola change throughout the story? At first, Tiva had to bottle feed Lola milk 5 times a day. When Lola became older, she was able to feed herself. Other things like, and what were some of those things we talked about? Shrubs, twigs, and leaves. That's so funny that that's what rhinos eat. Like shrubs, twigs, and leaves. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to click and drag, and then I'm going to add some size, add in the numbers so that I could read it. Okay. You don't have to do that, but I think it's helpful for you guys, especially since you guys are going to be following along and doing this. Now, I realize that I'm going very quickly. The reason why I'm going quickly is because this is supposed to be an independent study program. So I'm going through the answers with you guys, but instead of waiting and giving you guys the time to answer them in class, if I did that, then we would not be able to get through the entire day. So instead of that, what I'm doing is I'm giving you guys the answers. I'm talking you guys through it. And you guys can maybe do some of it. Maybe you'll finish these 2, but you won't finish these 3. So what you'll do is you can get started right now. So everyone right now, you guys could be working on it, but you might not finish it. So then after class, independently, you're going to finish off whatever you did not complete. Okay. So hopefully that understands. So right now, you guys should not be distracted. You shouldn't be doing other things. You shouldn't just be watching me like laying on your bed. You should actually be starting to write some of this down. If you don't get all of it down, that's okay. You can work on it independently, but I want you guys to practice, especially for those of you guys who have trouble with typing your questions in the chat. The more you guys write, physically write or type on the computer, then the easier it's going to be for you guys to ask me questions, okay? All right, question number 3, main idea. How did Tiva take special care of Lola? So let's give 3 supporting details of how Tiva took care of Lola. There's tons. So I'm going to pause the video so I can hear from you guys. All right, so we saw that there, so some things that Tiva did to take special care of Lola was she fed Lola milk, she picked the bugs off of her, and then I heard Jason say, Tiva taught Lola had to wallow in the mud. Now, it's okay if you don't write complete sentences. These you do not need to write complete sentences because it doesn't tell you that you have to. But if you want to, that is great practice, but I'm not going to require it. Now, as a reminder, I'm going to move on. So because I'm moving on, you may not have finished this. If you did not finish this, that's okay. You guys can work on it independently after school. If you forgot the answers, then you guys can always come back. But because we went through the answers in class, you should be able to answer them without on your own. But if you want to watch the YouTube video to copy these ones, that's more than okay. That's totally fine. Okay, I'm moving on. Drag the box to the predicate in each sentence. All right. I did post some videos on subjects and predicates in our Google Classroom. I think it's this one that I liked.
Identifying subjects and predicates at Grammar Songs by Melissa. We use complete sentences every day when we...
No, that one is a good one, but I wanted to do... All right, we'll do this one. There are 2 other videos you guys can watch. So if you haven't watched them yet, they're going to really help with grammar and subjects and predicates.
This is the tale of Mr. Morton. Mr. Morton is who? He is the subject of our tale, and the predicate tells what Mr. Morton must do. Mr. Morton walked down the street. Mr. Morton walked. Mr. Morton talked to his cat. Mr. Morton talked. Hello, cat. You look good. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. Mr. Morton knew just one girl. Mr. Morton knew. Mr. Morton grew flowers for Pearl. Mr. Morton grew. Mr. Morton was very shy. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The subject is a noun. That's a person, place, or thing. It's who or what the sentence is about. And the predicate is the verb. That's the action word that gets this subject up and out. Mr. Morton wrote Pearl a poem. Mr. Morton wrote. Pearl replied in the afternoon. Pearl replied by a note. Mr. Morton was very nervous. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The cat stretched, the sun beat down, a neighbor chased his kid. Come here, kid, come on. Each sentence is completed when you know what the subject did. Mr. Morton knocked on her door. Mr. Morton knocked. Mr. Mr. Morton sat on her porch. Yes, he just sat there and rocked. Mr. Morton was a nervous man. When she opened up the door, he ran. Mr. Morton climbed up his stairs. Mr. Morton climbed. Mr. Morton rhymed pretty words. Mr. Morton rhymed. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was until Pearl showed up with a single rose. Who says women can't propose? Now Mr. Morton is happy, and Pearl and the cat are too. They're the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says, they do.
All right. So there are other videos that explains it. That one's just like more of a fun little video. So Mr. Morton was the subject of the sentence, and then everything else was the things that he did. So let's look for those subjects of the sentences, and then we're going to find what they did. And then we're going to box it with our yellow box. So Rosa listened to the news. So who is the subject of the sentence? Rosa. And what did Rosa do? She listened to the news. Now, your yellow box might not fit all the way. So what you could do is you could stretch it out just like that. Okay. Drag the box to the predicate in each sentence. She hears about the storm. So who is the subject about? She. And what is she doing? She hears about the storm. Her brothers close the windows. So who is the subject of the sentence? Her brothers. And what are they doing? They're closing the windows. And it's okay if the yellow box kind of gets stuck like that. If you want to stretch it out, you can. But if you're having trouble doing it, just leave it like that. That's fine. Everyone is excited. Who is the subject about? Everyone. And what? What is it? What about them? They're excited. Vocabulary strategy. Root words. Write the root word and the meaning of the root word. Okay. Finished. The root word of finished is finish. The root word of brushes is brush. And the root word for waiting is wait. So what is the meaning of finish? If you finish something, that means you complete it. It's done. The root word of brush. Now, brushes. Now, there are actually, brushes is actually a multiple meaning word. When you say brush, you can mean like, some people call like, well, I guess that you can use the verb of brush, which means like you're brushing your hair, or you're brushing off maybe like some fur that was on the chair, or you're brushing your dog. But you can also mean the actual word brush. So like you use a brush to brush your hair, or you use a toothbrush to brush your teeth. So I'm just going to use the brush as the verb. So when you brush something, that means you're like cleaning something. Like it could, not necessarily cleaning. It could be like cleaning your teeth or combing out your hair. And then waiting. The root word is wait. And what does it mean to wait? It means to like be patient. Be patiently waiting for something to happen. All right. So that is it for your digital trifold. If you did not finish it, no worries. You guys can finish it after our time. Now, the last thing you guys have before we move on to our practice and selection test is going to be your 5 things. And if you watch yesterday's YouTube video, I'm going to explain those. I explained the lessons for this week, as well as your selfie writing. You're going to notice that the selfie writing needs to be completed. If you have missing selfie writings from the weeks before, you got to get those done. Make sure you write 4 to 6 sentences. Now, the last thing we have is going to be our comprehension and our selection test. Because I'm going to be going over the answers and I'm showing you guys the tests, I'm not going to be recording it. Okay. So make sure you guys are always in class for this point. If you guys aren't able to make it in class and you guys have questions about it, then you guys can set up a meeting with me and I can help you guys out.